Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Peachy and this channel is all about my Sylvanian families collection. For today's video, I wanted to show you a couple of new figures that I added to my collection very recently that have been on my wish list for a very long time, so I was very excited to finally get my hands on them. However, it's only 2 figures, so I thought that wouldn't make a very long or interesting video maybe in and of itself. And then I had the idea to do a deeper dive on the whole family. So for today's video, let's take a look at the history of one of my absolute favourite families in the entire range, the Keats Cream Cat family, of which you can see the core family members here. And I'll introduce all of the other members of the family too, as I think with this new addition, I now have the complete family and all the common variations thereof. So let's start with a little bit of the history. So this is my 40th collection book, and in here we can see the Keats cats first appear in Japan in the range in 2006. You can see them here, that's the little core family. And they seem to be marketed to go in the house that we called Babblebrook Grange in the UK range. However, in the Japanese range, I think it was called the house with the light up fountain or similar wording to that. So a more generic name than the Babblebrook name that we have here. You can also then see over the page their jobs. So this is the stylish cake shop in the forest, which is a very cute little bakery that I do have in my collection. And then this chef and waitress set here as well. And these are all from 2006. So let's start with the core family. As was standard for the time, in the Japanese range you could buy the figures individually, but here in the UK they came as a box set of 4 with dad, mum, the sister and the brother, then the little standing baby as a standalone set, and the crawling and sleepy twins as another standalone set, so basically a 3-box family. They were added to the UK range in 2007, so just 1 year-ish after the Japanese release, and then they also came to the Calico Critters range in the US in 2008. I believe the UK and US editions were the same. I think the family name was different in the US. They may have been the Buttercup family, and also I think instead of the sleepy baby they had a sitting baby in the twin set. But other than that, I think all the iterations of the family are pretty much the same. The particular figures that I'm showing here are the Japanese editions. I do also have the UK editions of this family. I'll explain that whole situation a little bit later on in the video of how that came to be. But the only real difference is the grippy versus non-grippy hands, but we can take a look at that in a minute. But let's start with the dad. This is Rossetti Longfellow Keats. He has a very regal, fancy sounding name. I really love his outfit. The brown and the cream going with the brown and the cream on his fur is gorgeous. These cats have a very pale marking around their muzzle and cheeks, which just about shows up on camera. It's a bit easier to see in real life. And then obviously they have these beautiful brown ears, the usual kind of tails we see on the cats. The molds are quite similar to other cats in the range. I just think they have such a cute face. I don't know, I find them really hard to resist. So he has a 2-piece outfit, the trousers with the little straps over, and then he has a shirt with these cute little yellow buttons, nice collar, and that's just Velcro at the back, and the trousers are elastic. So a little bit of bio about him. His delicate puff pastry creations are special treats. He's a pastry chef extraordinaire. He fills the kitchen with panache and flair. They say he's a poet with the flour and the yeast, because those chocolate dainties are a feast. All of the Keats family, or the core family anyway, are named after writers and poets and things like that. And I believe their bios are in a poetry style as well. So that's, oops, I've dropped him now. So that's the dad. Then let's have a look at the mother. This is Bronte Keats, named after the Bronte sisters. Her dress is all one piece with Velcro at the back. I love the bright colours on this, but they are complementary. So she's got some oranges, some paler orange and yellow throughout her dress with this orange trim. This is the older style of dress with the apron sewn in, pretty lace detail on that. She also has some lovely yellow beads as buttons. That pattern running all through her dress and matching orange collar. Now her mould is exactly the same, except you'll notice she has a pink nose and the male characters have a brown nose, so that's their differentiating feature between males and females. Bronte Keats runs the patisserie like clockwork, her hard graft she's never known to shirk. Efficient she is in every way, she even has time to chat and play. To all her customers she's a friend, to all their whims she does attend. I really like that they went with poetry for these bios. I think it really fits with the characters and it's just a fun way of doing it. So that's our mother of the family. Then the younger brother, his name is T.S. Eliot Keats. You can see he's also got the brown nose. I love his overalls with these cute little brown buttons. It's a really nice shade of orange on these. They have straps over the shoulders, and then he has a separate shirt piece in this nice pale yellow, which does up with Velcro. He also has his own little bio and poem, so let's have a look at that. T.S. Eliot Keats, a name no one beats, the longest name of all, a real mouthful to call, so Bronte has shortened it a lot, from Tennyson Swift to T.S. Eliot. Poor old T.S. Eliot, he doesn't get much of a bio, more about his name, so we're not quite sure what he's into, but going on the other bios from around this time period, it's probably sport and going outside and getting muddy. Then we have the younger sister, and her name is Shelley Keats. Again, she's keeping on the orange, yellow and white theme. Cute little pinafore skirt piece, which is one piece. Then yellow undershirt as well, second piece also doing up with Velcro. It has cute little elasticated puff sleeves and this nice bright orange bead that matches the skirt. Shelley Keats, the apple of her father's eye, works with him and makes him sigh. Her artistic flair with just plain dough can turn a cake into a rich gâteau and a plum duffing into a princely plum pudding. Then we have the three little babies of the family. So first up we have the standing baby size, so fully posable. This is Larkin Keats, and judging by the nose colour, I think this is a little girl. You'll see Larkin is wearing the Japanese style knitted romper, and I think these are so lovely. They're really stretchy, really easy to get on and off. They give a good coverage in the back. Really pretty colour, and it just looks so detailed from the little knitted pattern. So let's find out a bit more about Larkin. Larkin Keats is one of the family's tasters. When it comes to food, Larkin is no waster. If Larkin likes a recipe or creation, it's bound to be a great success across the nation. And I think I might have just worked out why I love these cats so much, because all their bios are to do with sweet treats and food, which is something I love as well. So that's probably why they're up there as firm favourites, that and their very cute appearance. Then we have the twins. So we have crawling twin Dylan, and you can see he's got this cute little bright blue kind of nappy romper piece on with this lovely waist around the waist. Cute little brown nose, and he has space to hold a dummy or a bottle in his mouth. He also looks like he's super happy and smiling. I love his expression. And then he came in a twin set with his sister Claire. Claire is the sleeping baby mould. So they have these cute little bent leggies, little paws to the front, and she's in this cute little sleep dress style romper with lace around the top in a nice pink colour. This is still when we were in the quite traditional blue for boy, pink for girl stage of Sylvanians. So they don't have individual bios, but they have a bio together. So let's have a look at that. Twin babies Claire and Dylan Keats, the babies with lots of treats. They are the family tasters. When it comes to food, they are no wasters. If they like the recipe or creation, it's bound to be a great success across the nation. So they've got a shared bio with Larkin, all three of them together testing the family's treats and creations, which I think is really cute. And that's the whole kind of core family. Then here are my UK edition of the family. And we'll just do a very quick side-by-side comparison for each. So you can see main difference being the grippy hand of the Flare edition versus the flat hand of the Japanese edition. But outfit-wise, the dad's outfits look pretty similar, slightly different elastic in the construction, slightly different colours. But then my UK edition are a bit play worn, and I've had them for a while, so that could just be some colour fading from age as well. These ones I'll get onto in a minute, but they're from a collector who hadn't really used them, just displayed them. So that might be why there's slight colour differentiation. You can also see the moulds look pretty similar. I think they're just slightly different. The Japanese edition, which is this one, looks to have just a slightly rounder face. And the UK edition looks just slightly taller. Very, very slightly, and just a little bit thinner. So that's interesting. Both very, very cute though. So then we have the mothers, and again there's some differences on the dress. We've got different fabric down here for the trims and it's more yellowy. So a different print on the fabrics. But same kind of idea. Again, flat hand versus grippy, and a slightly chubbier, shorter looking face on the Japanese edition. Same construction in the dresses though. Little brothers. So here's a big difference in the rompers, so they do look quite different. The undershirt looks the same construction wise, even down to the white collar, but the overall fabric is completely different. The UK edition has a much more brown fabric with these checks, and the Japanese edition has smaller checks in the more orangey colour. Both have brown buttons though. And on the child size, the faces look very, very similar. Again, I think the Japanese edition is just slightly shorter and slightly chubbier. I really like doing a side-by-side comparison. It's really interesting to see the differences. It's difficult to see them in online pictures. It's much easier when you've got them both up close. So the sisters as well, I think you can probably see it a little bit better here. The face shapes are definitely different. The UK edition also has a shorter length in the muzzle. Here again, the undershirts look very similar, even down to the button, but different fabrics in the overskirts, fabric matching their mothers respectively. So that's interesting, but the same kind of design idea, just slightly different execution. I don't have Larkin in the UK size in this standard one, but I do have the little twin babies. Here you can see how that dummy goes in the mouth, but here are the UK and Japanese edition of the Crawling Twins, and you can see the UK one is actually smaller. Head is much smaller as well, so that's very interesting. You'd think we'd just get exactly the same figure, but not the case. And then also the little sleeping babies. So the UK one is this one, Japanese one is this one, and again the UK one is just slightly smaller. The face molds look pretty similar. Rompers look pretty similar. Yeah, just very slightly smaller in size. So I've just set everyone out with their counterparts, UK on the left, Japanese on the right, all the way along. Now let's get on to other family members. So first up we have this lovely figure. She is the older sister size, not the Town series older sister, but the older style of older sister, well before the Town series. She came out in Japan in 2006, and she was a Sylvanian Family's fan club gift. She came with a dresser box and lots of different outfits you could dress her up in. I've done a separate video on her, so I'll link that here if you want a bit more information about her. This is just one of the dresses she came in. It's my favourite of them, which is why she's in it. It's this lovely floral pattern. Nice peachy pink colour, brown bead and some lovely lace. This was kind of the base outfit. She has the same tail style, same face markings and cute little pink nose. As far as I can see, she doesn't have an official name, so I've named her Agatha Keats. That's Agatha after Agatha Christie, to carry on with the writer-poet style names. And you can see, if I take the Japanese edition, because she is only available in Japan, or she was only available in Japan, you can see that she is just middle-sized in between the mother and sister we've already taken a look at. She's also a little bit slimmer, as the older sisters tend to be. So that's Agatha. We'll pop her into our little kind of family portrait we're creating. Then we have the figures who are the reason for this whole video in the first place. It is the grandparents. I've finally got them. They've been on my wish list for such a long time. And I just absolutely love them. They're so cute. I love the grandparents anyway, and I really, really wanted these because they are one of my favourite families and I really wanted to complete it. The grandparents are so cute, and here they are. This is Milton, who's the grandfather, and Louise Carroll, who is the grandmother. So we'll take a look at them one by one, starting with Milton. He's in the very typical grandfather costume. Usually it has this big oversized shirt, trousers with a very high waist, and braces that cross over at the back. He's got the same tail. He's then got his little glasses on in a brown colour. And I'll show you the size in just a second, but he is just very cute. So let's read his bio. Milton Keats is a poet who spends his days finding ways to make his written prose as beautiful as a wild climbing rose. Inspired by all the beauty around him, his desire to write will never grow dim. And I really like that they carried on with the poetry bios for these two. I think I might have missed mentioning it in my excitement, but the grandparents were a UK exclusive, or at least I don't think they were released in Japan. They came out here in 2007. So that's the grandfather. Lovely Milton. Then here we have the grandmother, Louise Carroll. She's in the very typical grandmother outfit of the time. So it consists of a dress, usually with a solid colour top and then a patterned skirt. This one is very pretty florals with pink flowers to match the pink on her dress. And then usually the grandmothers also come with these lovely shawls. In this case, it's a kind of brown colour to go with the theming of the rest of the family. She also has her little spectacles, and they are this nice pale pink colour. Absolutely love her as well, so very cute. So then we also have a bio for Louise. So that is, Louise Carroll Keats is also a writer, but of funny rhymes rather than clever prose, like the one of the rabbit that lost its nose. He didn't wash and began to smell. He could not tell, so all was swell. So she has obviously quite a good sense of humour. I like the idea of her being this really fun and funny grandmother character. So in terms of the sizing, I'll get the UK figures as these were a UK edition. You can see the grandparents are just slightly shorter than the parents, taller than the younger siblings. And then if we bring the older sister in as well, she's about the same height as the grandmother figure, just a teeny bit taller. So they're yet another size and mould in between. Now for the story as to how I've ended up with both a UK edition of the main family and also the Japanese edition. The grandparents, they must have really racked up their air miles, because they went from the UK to a collector over in Japan, and now they've come all the way back to the UK to me. So I actually bought these as part of a lot, and to get the grandparents, it was also in with the family. So that's how I've ended up with the Japanese edition of the family as well, because I really wanted the grandparents, and they are in such good condition, completely unplayed with. So I thought it was worth going for that lot. The family were in really excellent condition as well. And as I mentioned, mine are a little bit play worn. So it was nice to have a really nice condition version of the family as well. And that's how I've come to have both editions. So that is what I would call the core extended family. We've got multiple generations, but all of the same family. We then have some UK sets that added additional members. First of all, there was a maypole dancing set, which came with this figure here. This is the sister size, but she is not Shelley Keats. She is in fact Abby Keats, who is a cousin of the family. You can see she's in this very pretty dress, but she is exactly the same, I think, as Shelley is. She's quite play-worn and a little bit kind of dirty, so you can't really see her muzzle as well. She's probably one in one of the worst conditions in my collection. You can kind of see it from the side, but they are essentially the same figure. However, canonically, she is a cousin of the family. Then there was another set called the Tandem Bike and Trailer, which, as it says on the tin, came with a tandem bike and trailer, but it also came with these figures. So this is the mother size figure and the standing baby size figures. This is Daphne Keats, and the two little babies are Ellie and May. So these are fully posable figures. They're both little girls with their pink noses, and Daphne is the mother size figure, so she's exactly the same as Bronte. You can see she's got this very pretty floral dress, again with an apron sewn in, but of a different style. Lovely flowers all over this. Velcro at the back. And then the little standing babies. These ones have the usual tricot rompers, but would probably make a good comparison to Larkin now. You can see again, Larkin's face is just that little bit wider and a little bit shorter. Size-wise, they are about the same height, that they do have slightly different mould shape. And I don't know whether canonically Abby is sister to this line of the family, but that's how I have it in my village, so she doesn't end up on her own. So this is one little branch coming off the family with Daphne, Abby, Ellie and May. Those two sets came out in the UK in 2012. Then we have two final members of the Keats Cat family and extended family. Well, I guess one member and one who's married in. This is the Dante Cat wedding couple. They were a promotional gift for the UK edition of the Sylvanian Families fan club. They're in these absolutely beautiful wedding outfits. This is the groom. His name is Troy Dante. This lovely powder blue suit. This cute little lace detailing on his shirt. The suit is in two pieces. So the shirt and trousers are one piece, and then he has the jacket over the top, which is a second piece. It just has Velcro on the shirt piece. And this is Arabella, now Dante, previously Keats. She's in this beautiful wedding dress with this really long, lovely veil. This kind of see-through, very pretty fabric. It's got a nice shine to it. The dress is very silky. It's got a couple of layers on it, and also this lovely lace detailing, these big puffy sleeves and this huge bow on the front. It's got a real kind of 80s vibe, I think, to this wedding dress, but I absolutely love it. There's a lot of fabric in it, which really makes it kind of poof out at the skirt. There's also this beautiful lace around the headpiece. Arabella is Rosetti's sister. So this is another arm of the family, and she's marrying Troy. So has now got the surname Dante. And these came out in the UK in 2007 alongside the rest of the family. What's interesting about these though is the molds on these look much closer to the Japanese edition of the family than they do to the UK edition, even though they do have the grippy hands. If I pop all three together, it might be a bit easier to see, but to me, they look closer to this one than to this one, but they're also not exactly the same either. They're almost a mold of their own, because they've got different feet. So very interesting. There's lots and lots of different molds in this family. And with them added in, I believe that is every unique family member of the Keats family that is a unique character that I know of. If there's any more that I've missed, please let me know down in the comments, because at this point I just want to collect them all, seeing as I have already this massive family. Now you think that would be us done for the day, wouldn't you? But it's not. I have a few more characters to show you, but these are not unique characters. They are members of the family that we've already seen in special costumes. So first up, here we have the mother and father, Rossetti and Bronte, in their pastry chef and waitress uniforms. These are the ones that go along with the stylish cake shop in the forest that I showed way back at the start of the video. Now, these aren't the actual figures. For me, this is a second of the wedding pair that I had, and I took their wedding outfits off and put them in the pastry chef and waitress uniforms. So there were figures dressed in these uniforms that came in a special edition of the stylish cake shop in the forest, but there were also packs that just came with the uniforms, and they are the editions that I have. So it's just the uniforms and then Dante wedding cats dressed up in them. I've done a more detailed video about these figures as well, so I'll link that here if you want to know a bit more about them, because I think this video is getting quite long. But these uniforms are absolutely gorgeous. Love the details on them. I'm just going to pop them in the front because the camera is back so far now. I don't think I can pull it back much further and still reach the desk. Then on the patisserie chef waitress kind of theme, I also have this version of Shelley. So this is the little sister, Shelley Keats, and she came from the I Heart Making Cakes set. She's in this very cute little pink polka dot dress with this lovely intricate apron on. And she came with some cake accessories, and she's meant to be helping out in the patisserie shop, helping out her mother and father. So for me, they kind of go together, and they all hang out in my stylish cake shop in the forest building. These were Japanese exclusive sets. So the pastry chef and waitress came out in 2006 along with the rest of the family and the stylish cake shop building. And then this I Heart Making Cakes one came out in 2007. So of all the figures here, the newest ones are these over here from 2012. So you'd think that this family has been out of print for a while. They were discontinued quite some time ago. However, we have seen Larkin pop up a couple of times. So this version of Larkin is from 2020 and the Fairy Tale Friends set. And I was really surprised to see her there because the family had been out of print for a while. To have the baby pop back up was interesting, and it leads me to be very hopeful that this family might be quite high on the list for a reissue. We've seen some of the older families get reissued lately, so I wouldn't be surprised if we did see these pop up. If we look at Larkin next to Larkin, you can see that the mould is different now. And the muzzle markings are not quite as prominent as they are on the older version of the figure. But still very lovely to see Larkin popping up again. And then that's not all. In 2023, we saw Larkin pop up again in the Cat Party set of 5. So there were 5 little cats, Larkin being one of them, with these cute little party outfits on and little tails printed on the back. But Larkin again. So that was 3 years apart, and I don't believe we've seen Larkin again since. However, maybe next year, 2026, we might see her pop up again. And that now does bring me to the end of the video. That's all the Keats cats that I have in my collection, all the unique ones anyway. I've just taken the UK editions out so we can have one of all the different family members that we've met today. Let me know in the comments if you like this style of video, going on a bit more of a deeper dive into some of the more vintage families. What do you think about the Keats? Are they one that you have in your collection? Are they one you'd like to get, or are they one you're not really too fussed about? I'm sure this has been quite a long video, so if you've made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye for now!